That mean time to go? And we're back with another episode of Forging Better Humans. We are hot on the heels of our return trip from Rochester, New York, where we went to Convergence at Wolf Brigade Gym, hosted by Greg Walsh, and it was an amazing weekend. It's my second time going. I brought along Alex and Isabelle, and we're going to get their summary of what they saw while they were out there in Rochester. Convergence to me is right in line with where Iron Legion Strength and Combat is headed. So if we're looking at training styles and methodologies and things that we focus on, or, you know, every gym's got their idea, their mission, their path, right? Or I feel like they should. I don't think that many of them actually do, come to think of it. But Iron Legion does. You know, we really, really want to help change people, make them more capable, get them stronger, build better foundations, build better human beings all around. And that is literally Greg Walsh's mission. His whole thing up there in Rochester and his online training that's pretty much worldwide is purpose-driven training. Having a reason to train, not just going because it feels good or going to impress mommy and daddy, but to actually become a fucking brutal human being, becoming the best that you could possibly become, but using a little bit more of a subculture style, which is more in line, like I said, with what Iron Legion is. You know, we get lumped into, in our area, we get lumped into this fucking junk heap of CrossFit gyms around here, and I've never really liked that. You know, we've always differentiated ourselves from that. You know, CrossFit has had a good message in the past, but I feel like it's been super distorted, really overgrown, and it's just the message I think is kind of lost. So it's up to business owners, and I feel like it's up to individuals to kind of seek out things that match where they're looking to go, and, you know, bring those things home. So it's not just, we don't just take orders from CrossFit. I also don't take orders from Wolf Brigade either. You know, for me, as my coaching style per se on the floor, it's a mixed methodology of different training camps and seminars and time and experience that creates the voice that is me, and the way that I cue and run my business comes from all those types of things. So lately we've been leaning into a little bit more subculture type stuff with Greg Walsh and Wolf Brigade. We get a lot of help from American Combat Club and Devotion Jiu-Jitsu out of Lynchburg and Orlando. You know, these guys are kind of, the way that we call ourselves is almost like a loose Atlantic Coast syndicate. We can lean on each other for help, for information, for strength when we need it, knowledge when we need it. So this weekend was no exception. You know, getting up there and getting in a room with just excellent movers, high-level athletes, great business owners, and just everybody like super honed in and focused on attention to detail shit, man. Just like stuff that gets so lost in the shuffle these days with the splashy marketing and the flashy tricks and the flashy shit that the CrossFit world brings out there. And it's, you know, skipping, doing shortcuts, learning crazy chaotic pull-ups, different things like that. But you got guys like Greg and myself that are like trying to bring people back to the basics, get them strong first. You know, being strong is such an important base and such an important aspect of fitness. You know, having a good foundational, strong base to be able to move and pivot from will do you so much well when we're adding in gymnastics movements in the future. If we're taking our fitness to the mats, to a combatives type environment, you know, being strong is paramount. And Greg is a champion when it comes to that. I can't think of anybody else that I'd want to learn that training from. And I've been to, I can't even tell how many different weightlifting seminars, camps, different lifting camps, CrossFit seminars, level 1s, level 2s, all the different things that I've been out there, pale in comparison to 2 days in Rochester. I mean, the stuff the takeaways from there, that we get to bring home and show our athletes to make them more bulletproof, to make them more robust, to make them more strong, using minimal effective dose type shit, not 1,000 rep type shit, but like real purposeful work, purposeful driven work. That's what I like to bring back home to our people. And it changes our business too. It keeps us different, and it keeps us in line with where we want to go. We want to help. So I feel like the world is a stranger place every single day, and having a close-knit community of very strong, brutal motherfuckers, that's the group I want to be a part of, and that's what we're building here at Iron Legion. And if you guys are interested in becoming one of those, we're in Ocala, Florida. Come check us out. So I'll give you guys, I'm going to let Alex and Isabelle talk about their experience this weekend. I could drone on and on about how much I learned from that type of stuff. But the best way to experience what I learned at Wolf Brigade is to actually come here at Iron Legion, and I'll show you. But Alex, Isabelle, you guys take it away. Talk about, your time there. What made you want to go? What kind of training? What have you been doing with the training recently? That type of stuff. So, Alex, Isabelle, you guys decide who goes first.
Have at it.
Okay.
Have at it.
Okay. So Ted went last year, and before he went, I was like, I want to go next year. And so it's always been on my calendar, to make sure I'm available so I can go up there. I've been following Wolf Brigade for a while, and I really like how different they are, and I really like how intense they are with their movements, their integrity to movements, and how they articulate what they want people to do, on the floor with movement. And it's very concise, it's very impactful, but it's very simple. And I think that was like my biggest takeaway from the weekend, that you really don't need a whole bunch of flashy party tricks to train really well. You can take no weight, no barbell, no equipment, just your body, and with breathing techniques and bracing and timing, you can get a really hard workout in 5 minutes. What did he say? Like 5 minutes is not actually time. Like everybody has 5 minutes.
Everybody has 5 minutes.
And I think that's really cool. So there was this body weight portion of the weekend, and I coach CrossFit Kids or our kids class, and I brought some of that bracing technique to their class this week, the day after we got back from New York, and they really like it. And I can tell that they're moving better because they're incorporating that bracing into their body weight movements, their squats, their lunges, their push-ups. And I'm really grateful that I was able to have the experience being there in person. You can look at social media, you can look at the website, but really being there to experience how Greg speaks to a class is something pretty profound. And it has really, I wouldn't say it's changed my perspective on training and how I train people, but it really enforced where I wanted to go with how I coach people and where I wanted to go for training myself, and how I want to train more intentionally from now on.
Alex?
So I just kind of went, since Ted came back last year, definitely put the thought of going. We met Greg Walsh and Heather up at Devotion in June of last year for a Blood on the Mats competition. So that opened the doorway to meet them. And then Ted went like the next week or the week after the competition at Devotion right to Convergence, and then came back, and he gave everything that he had experienced there, and just planted that seed that I wanted to go, mainly more for myself to get more knowledge about it, and I can help where need be. But it was definitely a great experience in that you can to have them teach you hands-on the correct proper way, because you can watch stuff online YouTube videos of the movement, but until like they're putting you into those places, you learn the correct movements. You learn that weight transfer, just a little bit of a moving my chest flatter, transfer the weight, my own body weight, to my hamstrings a lot more than what I was already doing. So it's just that little bit of a touch, that fine tuning of things. Kind of like what Isabelle talked about is the way that Greg teaches the class. He's pretty much anything you see online is how he teaches a normal class. There's no bullshit for the camera. It is him. It was another great thing was seeing all his stuff that he has on whiteboard. So if you ever see any photos or videos online, it's everything that he's ever said is pretty much on these whiteboards, along double stack whiteboards along the walls around the whole gym. So he can always go back and point to what he's already has said, and then you can read it yourself and keep reading it, then it becomes memory. Instead of just, 30-second reel online and it's gone. It's there, it's in stone up on the walls, and it hardly ever gets changed because what he does is correct. And he had mentioned that one of his things is you put the ideology to the test, and if it stands the test of time, it gets put up on the whiteboard. And if things change and it doesn't stand the test of time, it gets removed and it gets replaced. And I think that's what we're here at Iron Legion is starting to go that way, is to get rid of the dumb movements, and in my opinion, the multiple ring muscle ups and bar muscle ups and handstand push ups do not correlate to the real world. A lot of the stuff that we learned this weekend can translate over to the real world, and you're not just doing bodybuilding movements where you're just isolating a single muscle. You're working the entire body on doing this one movement. So I thought it was a very insightful thing, because that can translate into my profession as a firefighter very easily. And like Isabelle had talked about, we did a simple 3-movement warm up, and everyone was like resting on their knees. Hands on their knees, because they're already exhausted, just to show how effective when you do something with intent and not just bullshit reps just to warm up. We were doing a warm up. It was legit starting to break a sweat. It wasn't just we're just going to get loose and then we're going to go right into the workout. No, it was almost a workout in itself. And then we went into the full workout for the rest of the day. So
you're not supposed to sweat during your warm-up?
Oh, no.
I always sweat during the warm-up.
But it was awesome. The room was full of some awesome people. The instructors, I would say, was world class in their knowledge and what they can do, as examples, showing us what they can do. And then you see people being humbled, what they think that they can do something, and then they get humbled for it. They step back, readjust, and then do it again, and they can get it, because the coaching staff there is phenomenal. They can pick a little spot that person was messing up on, have them tweak it, and do it again, and they hit the lift perfectly. So it was awesome being around those people, building a great friendship, meeting some people I've met before, meeting some new ones again, meeting people again. So it was an awesome weekend, and I can't wait to go again. Either go up on my own to see those people again, or go next year.
Yeah, to that point, you're looking at some really high caliber athletes that are on the floor, coupled with high caliber coaches. When that athlete, doesn't matter who it was in that room, they were all stellar athletes, top end athletes. They all move excellent. The best part was to watch exactly what you're saying. When they did get humbled by a movement, it wasn't frustration and back off and I'm not doing it. It was, they were immediately addressed by a good coach. And that coach stepped in with no hesitation and had an immediate correction, or a suggestion, or an idea, or just a positional change where it could have been just super slight. And then we went back and attacked that work again, and it works. And it was just the light bulbs going across the room, right? So the coach, the athletes themselves, because of the high caliber athletes that they are, they're coachable people. They don't get to be, none of you get to be high caliber athletes by not being coachable. You need to have an open mind. You need to have a coachable attitude first and foremost. That's how you become a high caliber athlete. So there was a room full of that, which was cool, which you guys got to experience and see, and you guys are those as well. But like you're saying, the coaches, no hesitation. It didn't matter who they were talking to. They would step in, correct, change, suggest, and just fix and move, constantly flowing through the floor. And then I think I can remember Greg saying, okay, we've been doing this for 3 hours this morning, and you guys are all moving excellent. You've gotten more in these 3 hours than what most of you guys have seen in seminars for 2 days. And I can tell you from my experience with the seminars that I've been to, he was absolutely fucking correct. The amount of shit that we covered and how quickly we all came together as a group inside of those first 3 hours it was amazing, because you have a group of really good high caliber athletes that are open to being coached. It's not their first time doing it. So, and then they're in a room with extremely high caliber coaches as well. So like, that's the kind of shit that you get to see there. That's the cool stuff that you get to see, and it's moving so fast. You know, I was talking to Heather and Greg as well, you know, when I went to the first Convergence, when I came home, I had all these ideas. You know, we have all this stuff that you learn from seminars. You come home and you're just really, really excited about it. But you sit back, and I just did it again. You know, I sit back on the bleachers and I watch my coaches on the floor, and we're reviewing my programs. And, you know, we do all of our own programmings in-house. We don't take any orders from anybody. We write everything naturally. So we have, you know, the way that we design everything, it's all done in-house. And everything that we do, you know, our head coach, Katie, writes some excellent, excellent programming. There's no reason to get rid of that. Right. And I realized that last year too. It's beautiful programming. It's so different than anything that anybody's doing around here or in general in any CrossFit anywhere. So like, we're already doing excellent work. The cool part is going to a place like Wolf Brigade and sharpening that fucking edge and coming back with that sharpening stone and tightening up. You know, if we just add this little bit here and we add this little bit there, our athletes are going to be that much better. And it was, you know, we introduced 4 or 5 different styles of movements from last year, and we've seen marked improvement over the time that we've been putting that in. And now we're coming back from our second year, or I'm coming back my second year of Convergence, and again, coming back in and sharpening the edges, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, keeping our solid fucking programming, which is some of the best in the area, in my opinion, and then laying this in on top and sharpening the shit out of it. And like, our members don't even realize, but they're getting some of the most beneficial training that you could possibly get in this area, because we are taking the time to go out and grab that knowledge and bring it home to Ocala, Florida, little teeny tiny Ocala, Florida, and putting world-class coaching right here on the floor for them. So for them, you know, our guys see it as like, that's just day-to-day shit. Isn't every CrossFit gym like this? And then they travel and they find out really fucking quickly that it's not, right? So that's my experience with the whole Wolf Brigade thing, and I think that that's kind of what Greg wants to hear. You know, I'm sure there are plenty of people that go to Convergence, and I don't fault them. They probably go home and do throw all their programming out and start over, because goddamn, that's some good shit that Wolf Brigade's got. You know, but us, you know, we've been in business for 11 years. We've done a lot of different training styles. We've been around the block a couple of times. We know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we've gotten to the point now where we're just going to stick with what we know works. And you touched on it for a minute. You know, Greg will put something up, and if it works, it goes on the board, and we continue to tinker with it. And at a certain point, when it doesn't cross or transfer anymore, it comes down, right? There has to be purpose. You know, a burpee has positions in it. It has deadlift positions in it. It has full extensions at the top. You know, it crosses over into your lifts. You know, the burpee is such a huge piece. It's not just a punishment, right? It has a lot of positional awareness that we can move into other lifts. You know, if we do a burpee correctly, our thruster probably looks a lot better. If our burpee's good, our deadlift probably is pretty good. You know, our positioning, that stuff crosses over. Those things are so important. For our combat athletes, you know, swinging our maces, working our combatives that we do, our elevator sit-up style movements, getting on and off the ground, you know, adding that stuff into our daily programming for our guys that are on the mats, dude, it makes a world of fucking difference. And these are just little small tweaks that we add into our normal, already incredible programming. So it's good shit. That's what being on a team and knowing good people like Greg and Paul with Devotion and Mitch and Terry and those guys with American Combat Club, these guys know their shit, and they're just helping us keep our edges sharp here. So for me, I'm super pumped about being at Convergence, coming back, And I love the first month or two of just like dropping all this new knowledge on the coaches, training my guys, talking like this, and then getting it out here on the floor and then firing up my members. And it just becomes this just like new fire in the summer. It's a summer, man. It's like, let's do some new shit. So, and it's cool.
Yeah,
I dig it.
something I want to bring up, how effective the coaching is. Even the simple movements, the first things that we did Saturday morning was a hinge in the correct position. And it's all the fundamentals. I've heard words that people want to skip warm-ups. I know in the jiu-jitsu community, it's upper belt start, don't want to skip all the warm-ups or the foundations. And it's like, that's the stuff that translates. It's the foundations is what you build everything else on. And that was the first thing we did was the foundation, a simple hinge, a simple air squat correctly, not the hands and the knees of whipping shit that we see now. It's a correct air squat, brace hold to a squat to a hold at the bottom and up again. They had us doing that, and you're just getting exhausted doing just simple body air squats because it was a brace hold at the top, slow down, descent, a brace hold at the bottom, and then an explosive up to where the intention was to where your feet come off the ground, that you're exploding so high, not that you're up onto your toes and doing a full extension, but that you're exploding off the bottom, that your foot is flat and coming right back down flat. And that was the goal, was to explode at the bottom to where you have a lift off and come back flat. And that was whipping my ass. And it's like, that's what it should be. A bodyweight workout shouldn't be, just a little loosey-goosey warm-up, blah, blah, blah. You can get your ass kicked on bodyweight stuff doing correctly. And so that was kind of cool to see that done and instructed that way. So then it translates back to other things that we're doing for our other lifts that we were doing the rest of the day. The one that I liked is the movement is called floor to feet, to get rid of the burpee, because a lot of people fuck up the burpee and they just want to worm it. And it's a simple, just like in a deadlift position where your feet on the floor, your hands are past your knees in a hinge, and you drop down to a push-up, come up, and you're exploding off the ground back into the same deadlift position. Because the way of correcting yourself is, would you deadlift from this position? And that's a great cue to know if you're in the right spot or not. That way you're not just too far forward or too far back. You know that your position of you going back is where you want to lift. And if you weren't, the positions that we're going back to is, would you deadlift from here? Would you squat from here? And that's an awesome cues to hone in for our athletes, like to cue them, like, hey, would you stop? Would you, with whatever your PR is on your back, would you lift from here? Or you're about to pull your biggest PR of your life off the ground, would you go from here?
So the people the coaches or the athletes that were at Convergence, I feel like are pretty self-aware, very coachable. They have good proprioception. They know where their body is in space. But not everybody is like that. So what are some ways that, you touched on like the two cues, like the two questions to ask, but what are some ways to build the self-awareness that seems to be kind of inherent at that gym up there?
You're asking me?
Yeah. Both
I think with me, it's you and I, we talked about it, and I've talked with other people. It comes down to coaching, and it's up to a coach. It's always up to a coach to inspire that member, and that member may have a shield or a wall up of nervousness, right? And you see that a lot, where they're like, that's too violent, that's too this, that's too that, but secretly inside, they know that's the right way to move. Like you have to move that way, and you have to find a way to inspire them to move that way. And that comes with your coaches need to move that way. They need to talk that way, and it needs to be the way that it's done. And there can be no exception. There can be no deviation to those standards, right? And those standards need to be accepted amongst the group, so that when the coaches are pushing those types of things across the peer group, everyone sees it as that's the standard to live up to. I need to be at that standard. And all too often, I see it at a lot of CrossFit gyms, there's really no standard. It's just get down on the ground, get back up on a burpee, for example, right? There's no real points of performance that are established. There's nothing that's driven home repeatedly by the coach, talked about consistently, talked about individually with the members, but also as a whole with the group. Like, these are the standards that we hit. There are no exceptions. This is the way it is done. This is the way. It has to be done this way, right? But inspiring them and giving them, the members, a reason and letting them understand, why do I want to move that way? Is there a purpose for that other than I need to beat my friends? Of course there is. The purpose is I want to make you brutal as fuck, but I also want to keep you safe. And I want to keep you healthy at the same time and keep you strong, right? I'm not just trying to force you towards a finish line, bust you along the way and go, fuck it, you weren't strong enough, see you later, right? So it's inspiring people. It's making sure they understand why, having purpose-driven training methodologies. So understanding where they're, did I answer your question? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I like bringing home from that type of stuff.
But I think that there's also like maybe a misconception that violent intent movement is reserved for heavy intensity, not safety and health. So I think that all the brace work and the breath work and learning how to move correctly, full range of motion, I think that goes right in line with safety and health. And it's not just for people that are trying to set records. It's not for people who are trying to compete. It really is how everybody, I mean, we have the age range of our members is huge. It spans like 80 plus years.
I was going to say 7, 80 years.
Yeah. And we've been able to incorporate some movements. I know that you work with Chuck a lot, and he's able to lift more, lift better, and move safer with some modifications and some movements that you've learned from them.
For sure. And it's, and it's teaching, that is something we talk about a lot that we brought back last year about moving with intentional violence, right? And Greg touched on it a minute over the weekend, him and myself. There was a guy in the class, I think Friday night, it wasn't actually at the seminar, and he was like, if that guy would stop making violent fucking faces and actually brace his body for violence, he'd be better off, right? And how many times have we seen that where it's like, I need you to be violent about this, and they'll just screw up their face like, you mean like this? And that's not exactly what fucking violent intent means. It means brace, like, I'm gonna hit you in your fucking guts, right? Or I'm gonna take you down. Well, I'm braced for that. I'm ready for that. Bring it, motherfucker, right? That's violent. And that's an intentional step. I'm taking an intentional step towards you because we are now in a combat mode. It's not a fucked up face. It's not an attitude. It's everything all together, right? Maybe I do have to put a war face on to do it, but I have to brace my body as well. And that, we talked about it today with box step ups. Intentional fucking steps. Solid midline bracing. Making sure that everything's nice and tight before we begin our step. Smash that fucking box all the way to the ground and stand up. Those hips extend at the top like we're slamming a fucking trapdoor into place. Not just stepping on a box, right? Which sounds better? Which one sounds more exciting to do? Step up on that box, or step on that box with force, with your midline engaged, like you're attacking that box, and we're keeping our chest up and our eyes forward because we're not a defeated fucking people and we don't look down. We look forward and we step up as we step onto the box, and we open our hips at the top like slamming a fucking trapdoor closed. I'd rather lift like that. I'd rather move like that, right? Casually stepping onto a box. Why the fuck did I even get out of bed and come to your gym? Fuck you. I don't want to do that. Yeah. I don't want my members doing that. That shit sounds boring as fuck. I don't want to coach that.
No.
I don't want members that act like that.
No wasted reps.
No wasted reps. No wasted time. Every rep should cost you fucking money. Do it like they cost you fucking money. And that's what we do here. And that's what I want my coaches to push. And that's why, we've been really implementing that more and more over time. And you can see it on the floor. Our members, a lot of them are starting to move a lot differently. They look a lot different than your normal CrossFit athlete. They look a little more preternatural, where they're moving very, very solidly. So, and I love it. I think that you're right. I've got 80-plus-year-old guys that are moving weights that 30-year-old guys can't do. You went to Convergence. What was the elevator sit-up you did here? What was the heaviest you ever did here?
Maybe 226s.
226s.
Yeah, 26-pound kettlebells.
So you're in 226-pound kettlebells in the front rack position on both sides. Elevator sit-up is where you're taking a reverse step, windshield wipering, sitting on the ground, changing position, then standing back up, not using our hands on the ground, bracing and positioning. Because of the way you were warmed up Saturday morning and taught how to use your bracing and your hinging and all the different steps that took place. At the end of the weekend, what did you end up elevator sitting?
106 pounds.
106 fucking pounds. When I pointed at the kettlebell and I said, you're going to do that for an elevator sit-up, she laughed at me and then changed her fucking mindset, grabbed that motherfucker and did a 106-pound elevator sit-up, which she probably could have done more, but I think she was just super pumped and happy that she got what she got, and that was good. And I was proud of her. I was super pumped. Same thing with you, right? Yeah. So you did a D-ball, super heavy D-ball, so like even wider and longer. The amount of bracing technique that it takes to do these types of things is very cool. It's not something that you see in everyday gyms, right? This is a really, really strong ass movement, akin to like a Turkish get up, but it's all loaded in the front. So what you ended up with?
Those are the backs are like 133.
133.2. Which I was super proud of that too. And you did it. We didn't get it on film. I had to do it again. So like right behind it. Yeah, so the first one was super clean. The second one, you looked like you struggled a little bit. You literally did it like 1 minute later because we wanted to get it on film. But like, it was like going back to back with it, which was cool, man. So like,
but also
I love to see that shit.
Ted, what did you get? What did you do?
It's not about me, but
no, but I mean, so the point is, we went there and we did this like these moves that we had never done before, with equipment that we don't have here.
Correct.
So
yes.
So what I
We're
think.
About to.
But what I think is pretty impressive, we're training well and intentional ourselves. The programming's good. We go somewhere. We spend a day and a half of sharpening those edges and learning from the best, and practicing, and then
doubling and tripling weight.
Yeah, and then you're given the tools, and then you're doing it. You're doing the thing. And so I think that we went there prepared, but we came back like exponentially better.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what it's all about. For me, as an owner and a coach, that's what I want to do. I want to bring back more for the members. And I feel like we do this. Last year, around June, I'd spent some time at Summer Smash with First Form and met and networked with some of the best leaders that were around. Brought that back to our gym. We went to Devotion Blood on the Mats, and we wrestled with some of the most Megatron athletes in the swamps and hills of Appalachia. That was fucking cool as shit. I brought some of that home. And then immediately after that, I went to Convergence, and then bringing all three of those facets into our gym and then running that for an entire year, looking at my gym, loving where it's at, loving the programming, loving the style, loving everything that we're doing, seeing all of our members progress, and going, fuck yeah, Convergence again, we're going to go do that again, because that was great, and our members benefit from it. It's excellent. And so as an owner and a coach, I can't think of a better place to go to the well and get recharged, get the batteries recharged, and bring it back home. But as an athlete, I wanted you guys as athletes to kind of talk to that sense, from your perspective, and I feel like you have. Talking about what you guys see and what you bring home, and how that helps you. And even, as employees of the gym too, you guys are both kind of on the staff as well. So like, you see it day in and day out. You see the changes that we make, and you see how it helps people. And the people who really dive into our training, they're fucking getting bulletproof, man. Yeah. Brutally strong and great endurance. Great fighters, good CrossFitters, good overall well-rounded athletes, excellent members of the community. So like, it's a great time. So if you guys get an opportunity to go to Convergence next year, I'd love to see you out there, because I'll be there. And we're trying to hopefully get Greg and his guys down here to Iron Legion, so you guys can take advantage of that here at Iron Legion too. You won't have to get the flight up to Rochester, but I mean, Rochester's a cool city. You probably should go up there too. So it makes the whole experience. But anyway, anything else you guys want to add?
If we do get Greg and the crew down, I would highly, highly, highly recommend clear your calendar, do whatever you can to even spend the day.
Yes.
And just, even if it's a little bit of coaching, if we only get him a day, we only get him a day. And you're going to get way more information than you think possible from out of a day of coaching from someone like that. And so just be on the lookout. Hopefully things can work out and we can get him down, because that'd be really cool. Like I said, it was a great weekend. Met some met some new people, and it's like, Instagram's blowing up from people sharing each other's stuff, because some great food there. They fed us as well. It's kind of cool, and
Always good.
Everyone like went through line like your little groups, but then like afterwards, like people were like moving around to the different groups. Hey, who are you? Where are you from? Blah blah. What do you do? And building connections. Oh, you do this for a living? Oh, sweet. I know someone else that does that, or I need this, and building connections. People that are the circles didn't interconnect, but they like were close, and then now it's like, oh, I've seen you before. Your Instagram accounts from stuff being tagged. Oh, I know who you are. It's great to have a face to face with that person, to get to see them. And I knew a couple of guys that I'd seen on Instagram and interacted like a little bit here and there, but to get them, see them in face, and actually rolled with them Friday evening. Mitch put on a little class, jiu-jitsu class, so we get to roll with them and show off what I've learned the past 2 years under Terry and Mitch. And some of those guys are like, whoa, you were barely, seemed like I was barely phased, and these guys are being gassed. And it's like, well, because it's the coaching that we had is phenomenal. So it was kind of cool, guys that are been in it for longer, or guys that are bigger than me, and it's like, but it's pretty easy. I don't want to my own horn, but it was like just saying that they were saying to me like just how smooth I was moving, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really notice.
Oh yeah, you've come a long way, man.
So it was kind of cool. As I said, like if y'all can come with the Convergence next year, come with us. I'm for sure as soon as they send a date, I'm buying a ticket, scheduling vacation, beginning a plane ticket, everything.
Yes, sir.
I'll do whatever I can to go up.
There's one more thing that I wanted to bring up, and that is how friendly everybody was. I've been to seminars. I've been to a lot of seminars. I like seminars. But everybody is kind of like keeps to themselves. And almost everybody walked up to me, shook my hand, and introduced themselves to me.
Yes.
And that is not something that I experience in a lot of places.
Right.
And so I was not taken aback in a negative way, but just that it was refreshing, and it was a different community, because they were interested in meeting me, or and now again, like Instagram, and you have these new friends.
But this is a subculture that is interested in building a strong community of people.
Yeah.
Right. And if you want to be a part of it, we're fucking all about it. Like, and yeah, and it is refreshing, because you're right. Most places you go, they just want your buck, and there's really no real networking. No one really cares, because they're probably never going to see you again. But they know that in this subculture, what we have and what we're creating is what everybody wants. I mean, it's that connection. It's that human connection. We all strive for it. And when you're in a room full of like-minded individuals, man, that network potential right there, the people that you're meeting, you're right. They're some of the coolest fucking people. They're so down to earth. They're so easy to talk to. I've been impressed by that ever since we've started integrating with a lot of the Wolf Brigade stuff, American Combat Club, Devotion, Jiu-Jitsu, all those different places that we go. These are some of the probably roughest looking individuals.
So you say, whoa, they probably...
outside looking in, probably the scariest looking fucking people, but probably the nicest
definitely
nice.
the nicest community.
Yeah, that you'll ever meet, right? So like...
They weren't there to
That fits right, and that's our job.
Yeah.
Right?
They weren't there to prove themselves like the first day. They weren't there to show off what they could do. They were there to learn, because we all were. Even people that had been there multiple times, they're there to learn. So that's the environment showed for that. And then Sunday was the show off day, but it wasn't just the show off to show off. It was
show off for yourself.
To show off for yourself, to see what you can do.
Now that you take something home. That's what Greg said. Take home something. For yourself. Take home something for yourself from here. Not just for everybody, but you do need to bring home something for yourself. And a lot of us did. So.
And as soon as one person started clapping for that one person, the entire room just erupted with hooting and hollering and congratulating the person. They may even not have seen it, but they knew that something happened. Yeah. Someone hit a PR, and then you watch them 5 minutes later, the person hits another PR, and everyone's going nuts. Or then they do create like a little crowd, and then everyone starts looking at that area to see what's going on. And you're seeing people lift their body weight in a Turkish get-up, or an elevator sit-up, there's some people going for their body weight for a kettlebell clean to a goblet hold. Watching the guy getting frustrated multiple times, and he didn't make it by the end of the day, but he just did not give up. And he was so close, but everyone was just like, was watching him do it and was excited for him to get it done. And when he missed it, everyone felt bad, because it's just the energy that was in the room, but didn't like, oh man, be better next time. They're like, dude, take a break, change this little thing, try it again. And they just kept on encouraging him. They didn't want to just be like, hey man, better luck next year. It's like, no, they wanted to see him succeed. Yeah. And that's how the room was. And it's awesome that's how the culture was built up there.
Those are the people that I want to be around. I feel like that's the community that I have been trying to build here, and I feel like that's what Iron Legion is all about. And that's what we're trying to do, is create exactly that, a very supportive atmosphere where everybody's driving and you can feel comfortable pushing to be the best version of yourself, right? You don't have to shy away from it. It's okay to want to be better. It's okay to want to be stronger. And it's important that you're in an environment of people that believe in that too, because that helps on your push towards that eventual better self. You've got to be around people like that. People that are always trying to crush you down, only considering themselves, different things like that, which is so common these days. That's everywhere. That's rampant. It's rare to find a community of people that give a fuck about everybody around the room, right? And everybody's pushing in the same direction. Everybody wants to be better. So, like, that's the methodology that we're all about. And that's what they're all about, too. So
to stop looking at the leaderboard. Oh, this person did this fast. Well, it doesn't matter, like, how did they, how fast they went. They may have screwed up their reps or moved shitty, may have cut reps or whatever, and it doesn't matter what they did. It's matter about what you did. Did you move well? Did you move with the intent that you're supposed to? Did you do things correctly? And that's what's going to make you better. Not looking at the leaderboard and then shorten yourself, having shitty reps, having fucked up movements to try and beat their score, and then you fall short anyhow. Well, now you shorted yourself exponentially because you fucked up, because you
I don't want to be a part
shaved
of
that stuff, and that's to get away from that stuff instead of looking at a scoreboard. Oh, so and so did better than me. Well, now I'm down. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. You need to be focused on yourself to improve yourself, and then if you quit focusing on that leaderboard and focus on yourself for a while, maybe you'll be up on the leaderboard next time.
How fast you'll grow.
Yeah.
Yep. So all in all, awesome weekend, guys. Wanted to just kind of do a quick little debrief on that. You'll start seeing more and more. We'll have our podcast, and you're going to see more language dropped in, some more stuff like that came from Convergence, and you'll see more of our training styles, especially if you're here. When you walk through the doors here at Iron Legion, you're always going to have something different than you've ever experienced anywhere else, and that will never change. We will always be trying to evolve. We're always going to try to push a little further. Was it Greg says, keep the corners tight and light all fires. We're always trying to push the envelope and find new shit. I'm never going to stay stagnant. I'm never going to sit back on my heels and say, this is the way all the other gyms do it, so here's how we're going to do it. Fuck that, man. I have a responsibility to my members to bring them the best fucking shit that I can bring them. And, that's what we do here. And I want to give that to you guys. So if you want to experience a little taste of what that's all about, come on in. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to talk to you. Even if you want to train on your own and you just want to have somebody to vibe with a little bit, come in and talk to me. I love to talk. I don't know if you've noticed. But, yeah. Anyway, that's Forging Better Humans podcast episode number probably a lot. And we will talk to you on the next one. Out.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Good?